Hey everybody, it's Mr. J. Bell here, math teacher extraordinaire. I'm here to talk about some math. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I want to talk today about how to take notes for a math class. Because I've noticed through the years that many students have a really hard time figuring out how to take notes for math class in a way that will actually help them out. Often they'll go back to their notes, and if they have anything in the notes, it's not helpful. I didn't really know how to take notes when I was in high school. I really had no clue how to take notes in class in a way that would actually help me. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people have issues looking at their notes afterwards and not really being able to use them at all. So today we're going to take a look at a couple myths about note-taking process. I'll give some tips, and then we'll actually look at some methods that are out there for how you can actually organize your sheets. So first, what I'd like to do is start with the myths, and I shall reach over and pull in the first myth. Often, if you focus too much on what's on the board, you lose track of what the teacher is trying to talk about, especially in these higher level math courses, the ones that I in high school that I teach, and if you take any in college, the professor or teacher is trying to get you to make connections and trying to get you to be part of the learning process. And so you can't lose track of what the teacher is actually saying. And it's a hard skill to learn. Now that we're done with myth one, let's see if we can find myth two. I think it's up here somewhere. So let me see. Here, I think I got it. I got it. Okay. There are many studies out there that show the more that you have your senses involved in information, that the more likely you are to remember it. So in terms of math class, if you actually write as well as pay attention and listen, then it is actually you're going to have a better chance of retaining the information. Let's look at some general tips for your notes. First, you need to organize by date. So always put your date on top of your notes and keep it organized in your binder by the date. Second, always make sure you have a title of the notes. Often in a math class, it will simply be what we worked on the previous day with continued. Third, give yourself plenty of space. This is so you can ask yourself questions, you can come back and add information that it makes things clearer for you. We got plenty of trees. And fourth, make sure you leave room so that at the end of the day, you can incorporate homework into your notes so that you have all the information about one topic in one spot. The Cornell method is a very famous method, and it's been around for a long time and has been proven to be fairly successful. I personally like it because it gives us a nice spatial view for how we can have our notes, and it allows for quick reference as we flip back through in order to work on homework or study for tests or figure out what we still need practice with. At the top, you will notice that they refer to some of the general tips that I mentioned. They have the topic in the heading, or as I mentioned, you should put a date and a title for your notes. The column on the left is really good because it not only can it be used for questions as they show on the sheet here, but you can also use it for key vocabulary or little shorthand notes for yourself, or referencing connections to other sections, other dates that you took notes. The notes section on the right is larger, and it's where you take the notes that you feel you need to take. And as you notice, you're giving yourself space in between everything you're doing so that you can come back and insert information that you may need. I know that some students complain about not having enough space in their notes because of the way the teacher may have written something on the board. And as long as you make sure that you keep these spaces, you'll realize that it's there so that you can insert it back. So it's always going to look fresh when you come back to it for assistance. And then down at the bottom gives you a nice sort of index almost, or a glossary, where you can reflect on what these notes are about, and so that when you're reviewing you can see, well, is this actually something that I need to take notes on or review, or can I skip this for this particular quiz? This three-column method, obviously named after the three columns, really owes a lot to the Cornell method. But I like this because it's kind of geared specifically for mathematics, at least in the version that I'm showing here. Again, at the top, we have the place for the title and the date for the organization of your total notes. You'll notice the left-hand column is the same as the one that is used in the Cornell method. It is there for cues, questions, keywords, so there's quick reference for you as you flip through, or for the next class, or for later in that class. The other two columns are where we organize how we want the math and the words to go, because good math notes require both words and math. In the center, we have the math work, and we leave space between steps. And honestly, if it's the first time you're working with something, it might be good to just put the first step and then the last step quite a few lines down, so that you're paying attention to the process. And then you can fill in later with the math work as we go through more types of problems. And then in the right-hand column, just as important as the math, maybe even more so, are explaining what's going on. And the key is that you can't explain it in math talk. You need to explain it in ways that will make sense for you. So hopefully you learned something about taking notes in a math class. And I do, of course, have an example lesson that you can work with. Hopefully somewhere down here on the screen, lower part of the screen, where somewhere I've been able to attach a hyperlink to another video. It's around a 1-minute lesson that one of my student groups created. And at the end of that lesson, I will have a version of my notes that I would take. I'm going to use the three-column technique and show you the types of things that you hopefully would have taken notes on yourself as you were going through the video as a lesson. And I just wanted to thank you guys for being patient and working with me, and hopefully I'll have some more of these videos, and you'll be able to learn more throughout the year, etc., etc., etc. Adios! I think I'm going a bit too fast right now.